Okay, you want to take pictures, videos, but you're limited in storage. So what's the compromise? Where can we get the best photos, for example, or videos? For photos, the challenge is not as great, but for videos, it is. So I'm in the 99, maybe 99.9%, where I want to get the best video, not videos so much, but photos, which I think I resolved what I'm going to use. For videos, it depends what I plan to use with it. I find when it comes to memories, photos is the one that I enjoy, like the background picture here. For videos, for YouTube, stuff like that, basically 4K HD is probably more than adequate. But when you want to capture a short video, we'll say, 5 seconds, 10 seconds, along with a picture. So that still forces me to decide which format should I use that I can keep without running out of storage space or having to keep buying storage space or iCloud. Well, let's first consider this. One thing that I really like about the iPhone, Apple, is the HDR that they use, high dynamic range. Basically, it captures enough detail that when you take a picture of it, it will capture everything that your eye seen. And what is nice about it, it's not a format, it's a process, right? So it's basically included in the format, like HEIF. You can turn it off in the settings if you don't want to use HDR. But for photos, I don't think you should ever have to worry about that. You want to use the HEIF max, 48 megapixels. And, depending on the content, things of that sort, a picture may be 20 megabytes, give or take. So this would be not a problem. The only thing you want to keep in mind, you need a monitor that's capable of viewing HDR. And there are several specs. I think, for example, on this iPhone, it meets the specs, and I believe my MacBook Pro does. I know one of the specs, the nits, the brightness of the screen, has to be at least a minimum of 500. I believe it's 1,000 on the iPhone, maybe so on the MacBook. I can't recall offhand, but I know it's quite high. So if you have a monitor that's 300 nits or something of that sort, you won't be able to benefit from seeing everything. So keep that in mind. That would help in deciding which way you should save, unless you plan to upgrade in the near future. But you have the phone that can do it? Sure. Use the HEIF max, which is 48 megapixels if you don't need that large size. The advantage of that size is if you plan to print pretty large prints. But if you're not going to have a monitor bigger than 16 inches, maybe 21 inches, you probably can get away with a 24 megapixels. Reduce the size. Okay, so how do you set up this? Let's go back. If you go to settings, okay, I'll just go right in the beginning so you know where it is. Scroll down till you hit camera. Now, HDR is always on for photos. So you don't have to really make a change. However, for video recording, you do have that option right there. So when it comes to photos for Apple camera, you don't have to worry about it. Blackmagic is strictly video. Final Cut camera is strictly video. Pro camera is video and camera. So let's check and see if there's anything there we have to do. Okay, with Pro camera, launch it. Okay, and right there's a settings. That takes you in there. File format, the very fact that you choose HEIF should mean Apple will be using HDR. So that's the only area you have to be, I think, of concern. However, for video quality, again, you have to select this option. And this will have to do with the bit rate. There you go, HDR. This is for ProRes settings, but I turn this on so that those options are available when I take a picture. Okay, there's another app which I'm looking at. Seems to be pretty good. It's free. It's called Mavis Camera. I believe it's 7th version or something like that. And you click on it. Okay, and I believe right here in the corner you have settings. And there you go, camera mic input. Color space, HDR. Again, that's for ProRes. Could use that one. Okay. I have a camera already built into the MacBook, so that's why I get that message. I think that's the one I would use. And you have quality. Okay, so that's basically it for that. You know, there's certainly a lot of sales push to get ND filters or variable ND filters and all sorts of accessories, gimbals and tripods and so forth. Yeah, there'll be cases where you need it regardless. But most of the time, we grab our phone from our pocket and take a picture. And so we want to get the best settings. I mean, there are fantastic stabilization features, which I've talked to before. Have them all turned on. This way you minimize the need of a tripod or even gimbal. And if using HDR will reduce the need even of many of the filters, because it does take multiple pictures and gives you a fantastic balance of highlights and shadows, avoiding clip whites or crushed blacks. So the next question is file size. What am I going to face? Okay, we're talking about maybe 20 megabits. Let's see what else we have here. Basically, this chart gives you a picture, so you have a mental picture of what the file sizes would be. HEIF max at 48, that's the one I'm going to go. Because photos file size is not a big concern because of our normal storage capacities. And photos are usually memories, the ones we keep. Videos, they have storage limitation. And if you do take videos to keep, assuming it's not commercial, like personal memories, then, if you keep it to 5-10 seconds, then you'll be able to handle the sizes. So keep that in mind. Okay, let's go to the next one. Video. If I really want to take some pictures and really have a good balance of quality and file size, 4K at 30 frames per second with HDR. HEVC is high efficient video codecs, I believe. And you're talking about 10 gigabytes for 1 hour of recording. If you're only taking shots like 10, 20, 30 seconds, well, you can get some really good videos and able to keep it. You have to be in a commercial scenario to use ProRes. Yes, you can play with it, experiment, and when you're done with it, throw it out, just to see if there's anything that you can learn. But for the 99%, maybe I'm in a 99.9%. Either way, I think this is the compromise that I've kind of came to a conclusion. And I gave you the other information in case you want to go a little bit better or a little bit less. Well, hopefully this information is of help. And what I'll do is I'll go quickly to some of the apps to show you where to select HDR. There we go. I have to admit, the Apple camera and Final Cut camera, they cover pretty well everything that I would ever need. It is fun to play with Blackmagic camera, but from the little playing around and what I'm looking for, or the quality I'm looking for, I'm just as well to stick with camera more so than any other app. But those apps are there to play with. There may be a feature that catches your attention and you want to play with that. But for the setup that I'm going to be using, basically you have the photo, which we were there, and I go back to camera, and on top, HDR 4K 30. I believe if you go to 60, ProRes is not supported. Okay. 24. I was going to test the 24. If you're taking pictures with a lot of movements, or you're walking, or a lot of motion involved, 30 might be a better way to go. But if you're on a tripod and just taking a bit of scenery, slowly scanning, 24 might be just as good. I won't know yet because I have not yet experimented with that. So for now, that's my default. And another thing I'll be doing is I'm actually going to be creating 30-second clips of the defaults that I want and the difference between 24 and 30. So this way, if I have to reduce the size, I know which option to do. I prefer to avoid HD because it's a 1080. Most of my screens are bigger than that. So that's why I tendency to stay with 4K. Okay. Let's see what Final Cut Pro has. You can go through here, or I can go to settings right over here, and yes, H.265 is the same as HEVC. Just don't select 264. That's an older format, larger file. Okay. And this is where you select your frame rate and your K. I like the layout of all the settings with Final Cut. I don't have to go to camera settings to make any changes. Now, color dynamic, I want the HDR. The SDR is doesn't capture as much. It's the old format. And log 2 creates a very, very large file. And I don't want to go into pre-posting, or, opening a software like Final Cut and have to play around with the color balance. The HDR works beautiful, and if for some reason you want to change the color balancing a little bit, use the photographic styles that's available. Okay, that takes care of that. Well, hopefully there's something new for you here. I know certainly I learned a lot, and I just want to share what I'm thinking on the subject. Again, appreciate it. If you haven't done so, please subscribe. It does encourage me to continue on and to invest more time and even funds personally to do some of the things and be able to share my experience. So have a nice day. Until next time. In case you're interested, I will display those 3 sheets where you perhaps can take a picture of it or take notes of it. And I'll set it up so there's a good 30 seconds per screen. Until then, have a nice day, and thank you again. If you haven't done so, it would be appreciated. Please subscribe, and thank you for watching. Have a nice day.